According to data from the British Council, there are now more than 1.5 billion English speakers, while 54 countries use English as their official language. In the context of globalization, knowledge of English is a must in order to become a global citizen. However, many Vietnamese people struggle to learn English.
It's very hard to compensate to make myself understood.
Pronunciations, new words, vocabularies to organize the idea.
Hello and welcome to Talk Vietnam. As you can see in the video, many Vietnamese people still struggle to use the language English comfortably. This is quite a dilemma as Vietnam is at an important phase with many FTAs coming its way. How do we deal with this? Our guests Paul Gruber, Hoang Việt and Vasant Goblin might just give you the answer you're looking for.
It's just these small, simple changes. But when you put them into your connected speech, you will not believe the huge impact it will have on your English, the way you sound, and how easily people will understand you.
You only get tired if your reason is not big enough for you.
We strongly believe that ICT really helps our students to learn better.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining our show today.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Great. So let me start with you first. You are Viet. You are a lecturer at the University of Languages and International Studies. You're an English lecturer, right?
Yes.
So can you please share with us the most common problems associated with Vietnamese students of the language English?
Well, actually, the Vietnamese learners have many difficulties, and to begin with, the Vietnamese and English is very different. But however, the Vietnamese learners, tend to use Vietnamese to interfere with English, and that's what we call mother tongue interference. Take pronunciation as an example. I have the sentence like this: I want to go to Hanoi tomorrow. And a lot of my students tend to say, I want to go to Hanoi tomorrow. And that is the Vietnamese way of speaking. And additionally, we are living in the environment where English is not widely spoken, all right? Because English is a foreign language. So that is why Vietnamese learners are not exposed to everyday English, and they do not have enough opportunities to improve the knowledge and the skills of English.
Great. So on that note, we have pronunciation. And you, Paul, are a speech language pathologist. So you've worked with a lot of ESL students. Can you please share from your own knowledge, what are the problems with ESL students?
Well, the problems is, students work very hard on learning grammar, English vocabulary, syntax, word order. They go to school. I know in Vietnam they go to school for so many years to learn English. The problem that I understand from most Vietnamese is that they can have years of English education, but if you try to put them in front of an English speaker, native English speaker like myself, we're unable to speak and have a functional conversation with them. That's the problem. Or if they've gotten to the point of speaking English, very often an English listener is unable to understand the words that are being said because the language of Vietnamese, the sound system, the vowels, the consonants are so different from the English language. And as you mentioned, they use the rules of their mother tongue on English, and it makes it unintelligible to an English listener. So those are some of the problems. In the Vietnamese language, along with Chinese, Korean, Spanish, a lot of other languages, your vowel system, the vowels are very pure, like e, a, o, very simple. Now in English, some of our vowels are like that. Some of our vowels like sit, hit, they're very short. But many of the English vowels are two parts, up, down, a, e, I, O. And what that does is when you put these vowel sounds in connected speech, it slows down the word. You know, Vietnamese speakers, when they're speaking English, that's the rhythm. That's what an English listener hears. But when an English speaker speaks English, it's very musical. It's da 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 da. How are you today? It's very legato. It's very connected. It's very musical.
All right, so you are a neuro-linguistic programming expert who has worked with Vietnamese people for over the past 4 years.
That's right.
Right? Okay, so can you sort of share your own knowledge about the problems that you've encountered the most commonly?
It's like learning a skill. English is a skill. To someone who's not grown with it, it's a new skill. Maybe a little bit of difficulty there for normal people because of the wiring. The Vietnamese language wiring is different from, like you said, the English wiring and Indian wiring or whatever. So we're all hardwired to speak in a certain way, right? And so that is the chore that becomes difficult. Learning something new becomes difficult. So the thing is this. Why is there a need for you to learn something new? That is what motivation is all about. If someone says, you've got to learn English, why am I learning English for? Where am I going to use this? Who am I going to impress? How am I going to benefit from it? If these questions are not answered, it's a waste of time. Nobody's going to learn it. If you don't have a reason to learn it, nothing happens. It becomes a chore. If you have a dire need to learn it, and you really know what you're going to use it tomorrow for, pick it up anyhow. Yeah, that's my view.
My language is not like the native speakers, so it's very hard to compensate to make myself understood.
I usually get difficulties in improving my communication skills because my learning environment lack of native speakers. I have no chance to meet them, and therefore my intonation or my pronunciation still poor.
In order to improve my English, I have to study lots of new words, vocabularies, and I have to say it's not an easy thing to do.
Vietnamese is quite different from English, so when I practice and brainstorm my idea in English and speak in Vietnamese and then speak in English, there will be a lot of grammatical or using mistakes.
So what you've just seen in the clip is that one of the greatest challenges that Vietnamese people confront at the moment is the lack of knowledge and skills. Let's see what Viet thinks about this.
Yeah, they are right to say that. But remember, it's not just the lack of English knowledge, but also the lack of knowledge of other aspects as well. Even when you have a good knowledge of English and you don't know about the topic, so how can you express your feelings, your opinions? All right, so, and remember, knowledge is one thing, but how we can express the knowledge in written and spoken language is another thing, and that's what we call skills. So knowledge and skills, they always go together.